bone of the leg meat, but inner side of the leg. And it makes no fucking sense why that's sore. At all. You know. Lots of work I'm in Washington. I had a good split at the steel mill. I was responsible for some printers in the warehouse. So if I wanted to get out and about, I could go check the tag printers. Have a good stroll. Yeah, see, that's how I sort of felt about, like, my first job. Where, like, I had a mixture of, like, retail sales, I had administration, and I had, like, technical sort of computer stuff, repairs and shit, right? So at any given day, at any given time, I could go from standing to sitting to, like, building shit and stuff like that. It was a really good mixture. But of course, like, there were certain things that happened where some days it was a bit busier in one section than another, and yeah, be more time on my feet, more time sitting and stuff. But yeah, I definitely don't super enjoy, like, the huge sitting amount of time. But I don't think I'd ever want to have a job where I'm exclusively standing either. Like, to be fair, I don't think I've got, like, the leg muscles for it anymore. I don't think. Because, like, I'm logically considering the fact that, like, I sit on my ass for, like, up to 16 hours a day currently, right? So I don't think my ankles have got that kind of, like, meat to them these days compared to, like, when I was doing the weightlifting and shit and stuff. So if I wanted to try to stand up for a long period of time, I'm sure I'd get, like, the really bad, like, aches and pains in my legs all the way up to, like, my hips and shit. Alright, Paris grew. I really wish I had have named it properly when I got it. That's my fault. Let's get my Pokemon swapped over. For anybody that's, like, new in and doesn't quite know what we're doing, I fucked up my save. I didn't actually... How do I put this? I didn't actually properly save the way I'm supposed to save last time I was playing. So, like, there's a thing in here that says I can save, right? Yeah, that's not the way this thing stays saved. So I actually beat Misty, and I found Bill, and we were on our way to SSN, but I didn't save it properly, so we're trying to get the levels again so I can beat Misty, because I'm still going to brute force her with, like, fucking, what do you call it, fire. But, yeah, that's why I'm kind of, like, running around out here in the paddock. This is my only paddock that I've got an option for at the moment, so it's fine. We're just slapping around some rats and snakes and shit. How it works. The bold strategy. Oh, what? The group that I've got, or just smacking everything around with fire? Because, I may have to actually go back and heal my charm. We should be alright, I don't think they're doing too much damage. But yeah, no, I'm just kind of, like, replaying how I was when I was a kid, for the most part. And kid me was kind of like, cool, I don't care about type or strategies and stuff like that, so yeah. At the moment, I'm just trying to get everybody a bit of a level, push through a fire. Ah, yeah. Look, when I get further into the game and I can replace some of my main people here with the alternate fire type Pokemon, we'll eventually have my entire inventory filled with fire types towards the end. I'm pretty sure in one of the Pokemon types, I think it's silver or gold? One of the two. The last gym trainer you go up against has Houndoom, Dark Fire, and that is fucking hard to beat with just fire types. But we'll get to that eventually. I'm playing through, like, what have we got? We got red, and then I think I was going to try probably either gold or silver. One of the two. Because I played through, like, a lot of them when I was a kid and stuff. I'm going to have to go back and heal Charm. Definitely brute force your way through Pokemon. Isn't too hard. It's funny when adult men complain about Pokemon being too easy. Look, I hear a lot of people say a lot of things about Pokemon, and from my perspective, I don't know. I just enjoy the game. Like, it's a game from, like, as far as I'm concerned, game-wise, like a bit of a simpler time in that way, right? And yeah, fun things are fun. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, I'll do some stupid shit, but I'll be laughing my ass off when I do it, you know. I do that with most of my games. A lot of them are just like, play it for the enjoyment kind of thing. Even though I could play it for, you know, proper skills or reasons. I just don't care to. But, I also didn't have this specific, like, group of Pokemon originally, by the way. Like, I did have Pidgeotto. I probably had a Rattata. I was bitching about the fact that I forgot to name my Paris as Paris, the location, not Paris, the bug Pokemon, you know? But that was my fault. I thought maybe I could rename it later. Apparently can't. So I was a little bit, like, having a sulk about that. I love how it wiggles though, look at it. It's having the greatest time. But yeah, then I've got like all these old names that I call everything and stuff, and Splashing's like my magic carp and shit. And yeah. And same with like the nostalgia purposes, all my old characters and stuff I call Kelly and stuff. You'll see that in like, I don't know, Diablo 2 and shit as well. Like just whatever I call them back then. Like my enemy is called Cobra because back when I played this as a kid, we had these like really cool little like finger skateboards, and mine had a cobra on it, and I just thought it was like the coolest shit. You know the little ones where you put your 2 fingers on and you scoot around your desk and crap? So yeah, I had one of those. So when I started playing Pokemon, I called my enemy Cobra. So he's always Cobra and stuff. So I also later associated Cobra with, like, you know, The Simpsons, where Homer starts having night terrors, and for some reason he's got to go to school with Bart, and he's in class asleep having night terrors, and his like arms and legs are going in all different directions, and he's just screaming like, ah, cobras and stuff, and the teacher's just like asking Bart to like take care of him or something like that, and he's like, he's got night terrors, man, and stuff, you know. So like it has that like extra double meaning to it. It just makes it like fun and stuff. But yeah, I was kind of like keen to go find SSN, but I forgot how to save on my emulator properly, so it's all good. But yeah, there's no like a mile a minute thing. Like I don't mind being out here in the grass and throwing some random flames at snakes and all sorts of shit, you know? Like, I've got... What is it? I got Paris up 2 levels. I got Pidgeotto up a level. I'm trying to get Charm up a level as well. I know that the battle that we went up against Misty and won was a scrape by. It was like we lucked out. It had to do X defend a couple of times for us to actually win, or otherwise I had to be out here for longer. But yeah, I never had like Clefairy. I caught Clefairy originally, but like I never used it. I don't know why, but like I just didn't like it when I was a kid, you know? It wasn't a dragon that spewed fire, so I didn't like it. I was a very weird kid. Still a pretty weird adult, but like it's I was gonna say it's less noticeable, but I'm like, I don't think it really is. I think it's more noticeable now. I just lean into it harder. You know, makes sense, dragons are cool. Yeah. No, I always liked Charizard. Like, we were talking about this in Discord a little while ago, but like the way that I view Pokemon and stuff like that, like, it has nothing to do with, like, how hard they can hit or, like, whatever their stats are and advantages and stuff like that. Like, I don't care. The Pokemon itself, I come from a time where the Pokemon is what makes the Pokemon special. The creature itself. Like, you know, I like Charizard because Charizard's cool, and I like quite a lot of the fire types, but not all the fire types because some are just neat little animals and stuff like that, you know? Whereas like everybody kind of has a bit of their favorite sort of thing. And I like the fact that everybody has more or less a different Pokemon for a different reason. Like, it always interests me specifically when somebody's favorite is not a starter, because you uniquely liked that Pokemon beyond having to use it from the get-go kind of thing. Like, I like, obviously, Charizard, but I'm not a huge fan of Charmeleon. Charmander. I'm not a huge fan of Charmander, but I like Charmeleon, and I love Charizard, but Charmander's, I'm kind of indifferent sort of thing. I don't hate it, I just, I can't wait for the others, Whereas, like, I have, like, very slight beef with, but appreciation for Blastoise, because, like, my brother would always pick Blastoise for obvious reasons, and, obviously there was, like, a rivalry there and stuff, so, yeah. But I don't hate water types or anything like that. There's heaps out there, and some of them are really fucking cool. Like, obviously Gyarados is awesome for dragon reasons and stuff, but, like, I don't know. There's also Dragonair, and what's the smallest ones? There's the blue snake looking dragon thing. I don't remember its full evolution cycle thing. I'm not a huge fan of its like end one, which I thought was like, I always thought it was like Dragonair, but I think it's like what, Dragonite. Dragonite's the top one, that's right. Dragonite's not the one that I'm a huge fan of, but a lot of people really like it. But I like Dratini and Dragonair. I think I'm hoping I'm saying the right Pokemon. Mentally, every time I say Dratini, my brain inserts an image of Diglett, and I'm like, no, it's not that. I'm the opinion that most people's favourite Pokemon, assuming they have one, it's most likely one of the starters from the game. It was released. They were like 10 to 13 years old enough to form their own opinions, but still able to heavily care about video games. Yeah. I sort of see that too, but I also considered that some people were fans of like the anime independently as well. So, like for me, I watched the anime before I ever had the games. I never had a Game Boy as a kid, but I played it emulated on my computer like a couple of years after it came out, I think. So, like, I kind of miss the forced starter type enjoyment, but there was heaps in the show that I liked for each their own reasons and stuff. Sometimes it was just like, that one-off character that introduces, hey, I have this Pokemon, and you kind of get to see its personality and stuff like that. I didn't attach to too many of those, except for Marie, the sheep Pokemon. I fucking love that thing. But apart from that, like, I don't have too many, like, one-off things like that. A lot of them were just kind of like either the feel of the episode or something. Like, I don't get too much out of the bug Pokemon, but I do think that, like, Beedrill is fucking cool and stuff. But out of, like, what do you call it? Like, for instance, Spearow and stuff. Like, I remember Spearow attacking, like, other Pokemon and just being generally a dick in the anime and stuff, so I'm not a huge fond fan of it versus, say, Pidgey. Like, I don't super love Pidgey either, because, like, you encounter it a bazillion times, but I do like having it in my group, because I had a Pidgey originally. It was, like, one of the first 2 Pokemon I probably caught. I'm pretty sure I got, like, Rattata, and then, which I had to learn how to fucking say, and I'm pretty certain I'm still butchering it like so many years later, but I got that, and then I'm pretty sure I got a Pidgey. Had to have been my next up. I know Charm just got to level 26, but I don't think Clefairy's at 12 yet. I want Clefairy to hit 12. The other thing too is I should probably get another level on Pidgeotto if I can, because I think I got that to 22. I'm vaguely trying to remember what I did last time. It was like 2 months ago when I played this last. And I forgot to save it. So, that's the funny thing is, this is something I was specifically going on about when I was playing it last. But I love how old games you've got to fucking manually save them. And then I hopped on tonight and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm outside of the blue Pokemon Center instead of, you know, being on that like bike ramp thing in the next area. I'm like, wait a second. I stitched myself up with old game logic that I actually enjoy. So yeah, that was a I'm not even sure if I could call that like a foot in the mouth situation, because like I'm pretty sure I had said as I went to my just chatting screen at the end of that stream that I needed to remember to save it. And then I just didn't. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is not what I had planned for tonight. Because I went in and I'm like, oh, I'll know for sure if I haven't beat Misty, I'll go and I'll say hi to Misty. And Misty's like, let's square up. And I'm like, fuck, shit, I've got to fight her again. So, yeah. Swap you two out. No, I don't want to swap you. I want to move Pidgey down. Let's get Rattata up to 14. And then I think Pidgeotto's just got to get one more level, and it would not hurt Charm to get another level, realistically, and then I think we'd be strong enough. Obviously, Magikarp ain't doing jack shit. I can't remember if I have, you know, the thing that they hold on to get XP. I haven't been reading the dialogue because I kind of remember this shit off by heart, so I'm just like fucking flying through it mentally. But yeah, I gotta remember at the end of the battle to actually check if Splashing's getting any. By the way, Splashing has got to be my longest running fucking joke in, like, my existence. So, okay. When I was a kid, you get Magikarp. And Magikarp, I believe, uses, like, Splash or Splashing and shit, right? So, obviously, it does that attack and stuff for the lols, right? But not long around that time, Nigel Thornberry also said smashing in, you know, the Wild Thornberries. And it was kind of like, I don't know, like, how quickly it became a thing, but him saying, like, splashing instead, it must have been, like, a fucking local thing. But either way, like, from, like, whenever that was until now, I get, like, the biggest fucking laugh out of my Magikarp being called Splashing. Because every time I see it, I know it's literally the kind of useless attack that it does, but I also know that I envision Nigel Thornberry saying smashing, but also splashing. And there's a fucking gif for it and stuff where you have, like, you have Magikarp with a Nigel Thornberry face on it saying splashing in, like, a wave. It's great. Heard about the show, but never got to see it. What, the Wild Thornberries? I wasn't a huge fan when I was a kid, or I guess about teen sort of thing. I just didn't super enjoy the art style, but I did watch it a lot because it was on at the time when I had time to, like, watch shows. So of course I watched it. But it was kind of like, you know, the repetitive sort of era of shows that those were for kids and stuff, where it's kind of like, I don't know, foreshadowing of something, then they go and do something, the foreshadowed thing happens, and then they've got to, like, problem solve it, and then at the end of the episode, like, nothing's changed and stuff. But it kind of made sense in that show because they were always traveling. So it was never as if it was kind of like the status quo of, oh, they're just in a town and whatever they did today doesn't matter tomorrow, because these people that they interacted with and the animals they interacted with, they literally didn't see again. So it made perfect sense that it really didn't impact them. As long as they didn't die and nobody got hurt and nobody found out that they were in, like, life-threatening situations, it really didn't matter. It's just kind of like, nobody really learnt the lesson of don't go and play with dangerous wild animals kind of thing. That was the only thing that just kept happening. But I mean, the show itself, on rewatch, is kind of a little crazy. But I remember Nigel Thornberry. Like, I don't know what it was. I think I was like fixated on the fact that like his nose is equivalent to half of his head. And when I was a kid, I was really fixated on that. And I'm like, nobody looks like that. Obviously, some people do. No hate. But like, some people do. And I just remember like his voice was like really distinct and nasally, which was perfect for having like the giant nose and stuff. And like, I just love the way he always like said Marianne, like his wife's name and stuff, and like the ridiculous shit he just like would do. And it was just really enjoyable in that sort of way. There we go. Rattata is like 13. I think I want one more level out of him. But yeah, I don't know. I think I appreciated the show way more as like an adult on a rewatch kind of thing. Obviously, any of these shows from that time period where they had like a lot of repetitive kind of like storylines were really hard to resit through. But after a while, you kind of actually start to enjoy it. It's like, you know, you can kind of expect that this thing's going to happen, and you kind of like start to look for the nuances of the differences between the episodes. Kind of like with Pokemon, you know, when they're always like blasting Team Rocket away and stuff, there was always something slightly different, like a different pose, different outfits. Like sometimes they wouldn't get fully flown away and shit like that, and or like, I don't know, sometimes they wouldn't get hit as high and they'd land and stuff. I also question, like, when I was a kid, how obvious was it to spot Jesse and James before they actually, like, revealed themselves? Like, I never really think about stuff like that, but I'd almost like to, like, I'd love to see, like, a deep dive study on it, like, if one exists, where people, like, I don't know, remember or ask somebody or observed it and stuff, and been like, yes, they're completely invisible to each person until like they were revealed as who they were and stuff. Like it was just changed enough that they could have been any old character. But then again, in the world of Pokemon, where you've got like, you know, Officer Jenny and fucking Nurse Joy and stuff, and there's a bazillion of them, it totally makes like sense why our kid brains wouldn't have immediately noticed Jesse and James until like they undisguised themselves, because to us it would be like, you know, oh yeah, there's just another person that looks a lot like Jesse and James, just like, oh, there's another Nurse Joy or Officer Jenny and stuff like that. Different town, different day. Like some of them look slightly different. Oh, I don't want to fight with you, I want to swap you. But yeah, I can only imagine the family reunions for them, because like everybody looks basically almost identical. Some of them had slight differences. I remember specifically there being a Officer Jenny that had a tan. Then there was a different uniform, like a slight variation for a different town. Obviously, I never really watched, like, I think beyond Gen 2. So, like, I don't know if it got more varied than that. I think it did, because I played Pokemon Go, and I think Pokemon Go kind of, like, it at least like showed that different regions had different outfits and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that the, you know, police and medical and stuff should have had different stuff. I should really look into that later, because I reckon it will. But same thing for like the Pokemon and stuff. Like, I don't know. What is it? Like the theory of Ash's Pikachu getting swapped in the first episode. I don't know how many people know about that. Let me know if you guys know. But yeah, there's supposed to be like this theory that, you know, the Pokemon that, or the Pikachu that Ash got on day 1 from Oak hated him. And there's a theory that they got swapped out at the Pokemon Center because I think there was like a dozen or so Pikachu there, I think. And yeah, this one specific one decided to go with Ash, and it never went back in its Pokeball ever, allegedly, and stuff, which, you know, would expose if it wasn't his, because it wouldn't be able to go back into the original Pokeball and stuff. But that'd be really funny if that was all like legitimate. I enjoy like video essays and deep dives in like all sorts of, pretty much almost any kind of show or book or series or whatever I have looked at, watched, read, whatever. It's just it's something I enjoy. Like at the moment I haven't watched any, well, I have watched a Korean drama, but like I'm not like exclusively sitting there watching it. I'm just like whenever I don't have something else to watch, I'm watching this like fucking period Korean drama thing. And so I found that obviously YouTube has a shit ton of like video essays on like all these like minute things between different shows. I'm watching that even though I'm not really watching like the Korean dramas themselves. And I'm like, this is fucking interesting. This is the kind of shit that could get me into actually watching a specific show, you know. Lived well away from town during the Pokemon Go craze. I feel like I missed out. Yeah, I can get that feeling because at the start of the Pokemon Go craze, in the first year, I didn't have a smartphone. I had like the old style type phones, you know, and I had no reason to upgrade at the time. So I kept mine until I think it broke and the version was like no longer letting me do a bunch of stuff. But like this was like, I didn't have internet on my phone or anything like that either. So when I got the new phone, I had to get like an internet plan and stuff as well. But I was pretty huge into it though, because obviously it's Pokemon, but it's also exercise and socializing and shit. So from my perspective, we went out and we did Pokemon Go a fair bit. Like we'd do like 9 kilometers of Pokemon Go one day and we'd do like 13 kilometers the next day or vice versa and stuff. We'd slip in like 2 to 3 kilometers a couple of days in the week. And yeah, like towards the end of it, when it was kind of dying down in my local area, mostly because fuel prices got higher. It was too much for like people to be able to drive between areas to go do the thing in the first place. We had kind of like gotten to the point we were doing a lot of the battles, like the gym battles and stuff like that, to try to get whatever was dropping. And so you'd need to have a car and be able to get to these locations quickly before, you know, an egg dropped or something, so everybody could collectively join and battle and then like try to collect the whatever type of Pokemon we were trying to get that day and stuff. And that's kind of around the point where it sort of stopped in my area. But like it was pretty huge. Like we used to kind of go into town and do it. And we had like a group of friends that we'd kind of arranged to go and play Pokemon Go with. So we would be out from, I wouldn't say early morning, but I would say at least about lunchtime, if not earlier, until like after dark. Both weekend days, sometimes Friday nights and stuff. It also got sketchy too. Around about the time when like we sort of stopped with Pokemon Go, like people were starting to like hang around local spots and were kind of like, I don't know for sure if they were mugging people and stuff, but they were definitely like not playing the game and waiting in specific locations, and it was making people uneasy. And you know, most people know that when you feel uneasy about a person being somewhere and not doing something like everybody else is doing kind of thing, it's kind of like, maybe we don't go over there kind of thing, because it doesn't feel safe. Yeah, that kind of like killed it a bit. There was a lot of people doing that. I don't know what happened with it. Could have been muggings, could have been whatever, but we personally like never like fucked around with that. We started like having like a message system that was kind of like, hey, you know, don't go to this said location because, you know, there's some shady people and stuff. We'll meet you at this other one instead, you know, stuff like that. But I really fucking enjoyed it, but I feel like I missed out for the first year which is why I can understand when people are like, they feel like they missed out. Like, I know what it feels like to be not able to, in the sense of like, I didn't have a phone or internet that was capable of like doing the thing. And then when I did, and I did start participating, I also got to experience the extreme like devotion to the game as well. But yeah, I don't know. I know I did a lot of kilometers in those couple of years, and we didn't have really any Pokemon stops near us and stuff. Like, we had to go to the city and towns and shit to try to get like Pokemon stops and drops and stuff. Like, if we were to drop a lure at our house, nothing would drop for half an hour. Like, nothing would spawn. So it was a waste. Whereas, you know, like when you put on a lure, it normally brings up like at least a couple of Pokemon consistently over like a period of time, sort of thing. That's kind of how bad it was. But yeah, sometimes I'd just be like, I'd get my partner to drop me off at like a shopping centre where I would have access to obviously bathrooms and I could buy a drink of water if I needed to, and I'd just walk the fuck around the place non-stop, fight the gyms, leave Pokemon in it, catch whatever I could get, spin the Pokestops and stuff. And also I'd spin the Pokestops for my partner's phone as well. You know, back before they changed it that if it detected that you're like going fast enough to be in a car, it wouldn't display. Yeah, back before that I used to have both the phones and I'd sit there like doing the double spins and stuff, you know. As I'm making some scones for breakfast, I think you'll have them with salt pork. Do you have any breakfast suggestions? Not super suggestions, I guess, because like I only eat like once a day and I don't really eat much. So scones and salt pork sounds fucking interesting. I cannot fathom the combination myself, but it sounds hella interesting. I don't know what the fuck would go with that. Like, I'm imagining it together like a sandwich, and I don't know if that's what you're suggesting it to be. But, yeah, I like fucking belly eat. Could not be me. Hungry little caterpillar. Nah, well, I don't know. When I was doing, like, my bodybuilding and stuff, I used to have to eat every 2 to 3 hours, and I hated it. I had to eat a meal every 2 or 3 hours, and I fucking hated it. I hated eating. I hated preparing food. I hated the whole thing. But I still did it. I hated, like, feeling that full and stuff. More recent years, like, some of it has been, like, just, like, you know, the actual cost of, like, food and stuff and unemployment and stuff, and, yeah, you know, changed a bit of stuff around that way. Some of it has been, like, I have, like, health conditions as well that sometimes make it really, really painful to eat for, like, a month. So I just don't, or I eat something else, like I'll drink stuff or whatever, or I'll eat like grapes or some shit for a month because it's more comfortable and stuff. But then every so often I come out of all that and my body goes into this like hyper hunger stage for like a couple of days. It's only ever for like a couple of days. It's never even a full week. But I can eat like 15 times a day with full meals and I just can't get full. So I don't fucking know. My body's real weird. But yeah, a lot of it for me is couldn't really afford food and groceries and stuff, so started eating less. And then it just kept going like that. And then, you know, I got to a point where it's like I kind of adjusted to the not eating as much and not eating as often. And then shit got more expensive again. So I reduced it again and it just keeps going to that. At the moment we're down to about a, you know, like a plastic takeaway container's worth of food a day for about a sandwich. That's about it. That's about what I eat a day on average. But it'll slop you over. Chickens that I want to use up my flour and salt pork. I mean, the salt pork sounds interesting to me to begin with. I tried making scones not that long ago. I have like a photo on Instagram, and my scones didn't really rise properly. I'm going to try to get Charm and Pidgeotto one more level each, and then we'll go try to fight Misty again, okay? You're a bodybuilder, so cool. Thank you. I was. So for about 7 years, I did competitive level weightlifting. I didn't compete professionally or anything like that, but I certainly fucking enjoyed my hobby. I didn't do like a lot of weights machines, but I did exercise like twice a day. I'd get up, go to gym for like an hour, then come home, like shower, go to work, then go back to the gym before, getting groceries or anything like that for like another hour and a half, do my weightlifting and a bit of cardio and stuff. And then, I'd come home and I'd do like my drawing and watch my anime and play my games and shit for like most of the rest of the night. And I used to do some insanely heavy weights. I did deadlifts today, not bodybuilding, but keep my back from hurting. I never did deadlifts. I remember somebody actually asked me once how to do them in the gym, and I felt so bad because I'm like, I actually don't do those, and I couldn't